I'm Dennis Galucki. Welcome to the 552nd Imagine Greater Buffalo program hosted by our wonderful downtown Buffalo and Erie County Public Library. Thanks for joining us today. This program is created by the Center for the Study of Art, Architecture, History, and Nature, or C-SAAHN, as I like to pronounce the acronym, and ImagineLifelongLearning.com. Now, before we get started, just a little housekeeping. Everyone watching will be muted and your video turned off. If you have a question or comment, please type it into the chat box and we'll go through them at the end of the presentation as time allows. We are recording this program so you can watch it again later on the Downtown Central Library's Facebook page and YouTube channels. And certainly we hope you share the link with others. Now on to our featured speaker. Joining us today is Brian Higgins, former U.S. Congressman and currently President and CEO of Shays Performing Arts Center. Brian will be speaking as part of Imagine Buffalo's Civic Education series, created in part with Art Downtown Buffalo and Erie County Public Library. Brian served in Congress for over 19 years. And previously, he was elected to the Buffalo Common Council and later the New York State Assembly. Brian Higgins holds an undergraduate degree from Buffalo State University, where he went on to teach history and economics. He also earned a Master's of Public Administration from Harvard University's John F. Kennedy School of Government. Also joining us today, a special surprise for the Q&A portion, is actor Hosea Mundi, who was a principal standby in the award-winning hit musical Hamilton, now playing at the Shays. Hosea Mundi is the understudy for the major roles of Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr. Okay. This is a special treat today. Hosea's acting credits also include performances in Jesus Christ Superstar, In the Heights, and the film Net Full of Flowers. Hamilton company members are participating in voter education, registration, and outreach events in Western New York as part of the show's larger GOTV initiatives. So let's give a warm welcome to Brian Higgins and Hosea Mundi. Brian, take it away.
All right. I'm glad to be joined by Hosea and everybody on. As a former politician, Dennis, I'm the only one that should be muted. So I just want to say thank you to all of you. It's kind of seems odd at first. You know, how do you go from the United States Congress to running a theater or a group of theaters? And I was looking for some inspiration, and I find that the artistic director of the Public Theater in New York, Oscar Eustis, often lectures on how theater is the essential art form of democracy. And we know that because they were born in the same decade in the same place in Athens, Greece in the 6th century BC. So going from politics, democracy to theater, I'm just simply reverting back to my evolutionary roots of 2,600 years ago. It's a great honor to be here. This is a great series. I know that I'm supposed to be talking about, how does government work? Well, I'm here to tell you as a student of government and also a practitioner, it doesn't work very well. And it's one of the reasons I decided to leave Congress. I love government. I've loved my time in Congress. But the truth is, of late, and there are many reasons for it, Congress doesn't work for the people that it's intended to serve. And it wasn't always like that. I came to Congress nearly 20 years ago, and it was a very, very different place. And you could find Republicans and Democrats, working together toward a common good. Not easy work by any means. It's not like that anymore. The nation is very, very much divided. We see that based on, the divisions within the country relative to the upcoming presidential election. And when this government was formed, and in particular, the Congress, which James Madison called the first branch of the federal government because he believed it was the most important branch because Congress is closest to the people. Every member of the United States House of Representatives represents about 780,000 people. Every district has approximately the same number of people there, but you have 435 members of the House of Representatives. Everybody can't have their own way. And most of the major legislation in this country has been a result of compromise. You get a little bit of what you want, but you don't get everything. They say successful legislation is when everybody's pissed off because nobody gets exactly what they wanted. We have the best form of government. The United States is 5% of the world's population. We're 25% of the world's economy. All of the major universities and colleges in the world, the best ones, 18 of 20 are in the United States. We do more for our people than any country. We have a great potential that we don't fulfill because our government and our politics is broken in large part. And there's a lot of reasons for that. You find that members of Congress will weaponize issues, they'll demonize their opponents, and then they'll try to monetize the chaos that results. And that's not a very good thing. And the most recent example of this is that we have a problem at the southern border with our immigration system. The United States, keep in mind, admits 1 million people every single year legally from every country throughout the world. It's more than any other country in the world combined. That's the positive side of immigration. Immigrants contribute significantly to the production of the American economy. Alexander Hamilton, his story, which is really a story about them told by Americans now, is a great example of that. We had a bipartisan piece of legislation, meaning that Republicans and Democrats agreed to it, and then it was cast aside. So it's a bad example of how politicians today want these issues around so they can clobber the other side over the head with it. And they really had within their grasp an opportunity to resolve a very, very important issue and an issue that's very, very important to our country. But we always, believe that we can do better. Martin Luther King said that the arc of the moral universe bends slowly, but it does bend towards justice. And my hope is that both Democrats and Republicans will find a way in the future to recognize that they should represent their constituents, not the special interests in Washington and people that would seek to divide us as a country. So it's a great honor to be here, and I look forward to the question and answers. And I'll ask ask me any question, whether it's foreign policy. I served on the House Ways and Means Committee, which is the oldest committee in the House of Representatives. 8 presidents, 8 vice presidents, and 22 speakers of the House and 4 members of the United States Supreme Court all served in Congress on the House Ways and Means Committee. One of my great colleagues and a guy who I admired greatly was a civil rights icon by the name of John Lewis. He was on the Ways and Means Committee with me. We were very, very good friends. We traveled, the country and the world together, and just a wonderful man. So I just greatly, greatly am privileged and fortunate to have had the time that I had in serving the United States House of Representatives. But I love theater now. Oscar Eustis says that one of the reasons that theater is the essential art form of democracy is that there was a Greek tragic poet by the name of Thespis who first introduced the idea of dialogue on the stage, and that only from the conflict, the dialogue of two opposing opinions with the emotional muscle of empathy, only then can the truth arise. And that's what inspired the creation of democracy over 2,600 years ago. So we have that connection. We're doing great theater at the Shays Performing Arts Center, and we're proud to have Hamilton not only last week, but this week as well. There was a $7 million impact, economic impact, because of all of the shows. We had nearly a 90% capacity for each of the shows. But a $7 million impact is good for downtown Buffalo. It's good for the theater district, and it's great, great creative theater. So thank you very much for allowing me the opportunity to be here.
Well, and let's begin. Do you you've been involved with this project for a few months now? Why don't you lead off with any question that you have? It seems appropriate for you to do so.
Brian, a question for you. Could you talk a little bit about how you feel that all of us, everyday Americans, should be getting involved in the process for elections? Can you talk a little bit about that? What your
Yeah, I mean,
opinion would be?
yeah, vote and become informed. Don't let other people do your thinking for you. We are what we read. We are what we watch. We are what we listen to. And, I always tell my kids, don't listen to all the noise. The real challenge is, and this is what theater does for you. If you want your kids to be empathetic, introduce them to the theater. It expands your capacity for humility, for empathy, for situational awareness, situational intelligence. Just become better informed citizens and activate the rights that we have as citizens. But it's not only a right, it's an obligation. And regardless of who you vote for, you should always, try to be as informed as you can. Recognize that, the art of listening to differing points of view toward the goal of becoming a lifelong learner and developing your own worldview about things. And those are the people that are most interesting in our lives, those that understand other people, other cultures, but are also empathetic and have a sense of humility. And humility is the strongest of all human emotions. It's not a lack of self-esteem, it's a lack of self-preoccupation. So I think when we try to learn about our society, when we try to learn about our government, and government can be very, very frustrating and it seems hopeless at times. But the United States has demonstrated time and again the ability to take adversity and turn it into law that improves, that enfranchises more of our citizens with the rights that they had been denied historically.
Thank you. Let's bring Hamilton into the conversation. Let's see. Hosea, can you talk a little bit about how does it work when you're understudying these two central roles in a piece like this? Can you talk about that a little bit?
And Hosea's mic is off.
Sorry.
There you go. That looks better.
Sorry, can you repeat that again?
Yep.
Sure. What I was asking about was how does it work when you are responsible for understudying the two main characters in a piece like this?
Yeah, I mean, when the task was assigned to me, when we were workshopping this in New York, that's definitely like a question that I just stayed up all night thinking about, and I guess I really just try not to. I try not to put too much of myself into it. It's different when you have roles this heavy. Um, like in my other roles, like in Jesus Christ Superstar, it was kind of easier for me to like bleed and pour my entire being into it because it wasn't like it wasn't as heavy. The show also wasn't as long, so I didn't really like I don't know. I didn't really tire myself out too easily. Whereas these two, um, I, it's just too much for me to like give everything into it. So I do tend to like not come at at it at like a nonchalant way. I just come at it as like I don't know, I approach it more freely than I would do with other roles. It's kind of hard to explain. Um, I just don't I don't give too much of myself to it. It sounds crazy, but that's like the best way for me to um explain it. Like I have to be like flexible with these roles and just allow their journeys to like change me as I'm in the process rather than like be too in my head about it and too detailed about it. I trust that like being in costume and being under the lights and surrounded by the people in this story will like help shape me on that night, especially if it's like a night where like I know that like I'll be playing Hamilton in 30 minutes, which has happened before. It's just such a crazy. I love the job so much, but it's a lot to go through as a standby where you have to like jump into these roles so quick. Like you can't be too focused and too into it or else it's just gonna throw you off. You kind of just have to let it move you and let it like change you as it's happening.
Great. Another thing I wanted to ask you was Hamilton is really about real life historic people. And do you think there is a different responsibility attached to playing a real person from history than playing an essentially made up character?
100%. Yeah. Because there's just more like facts about them and there's more there's more people that know about these characters. Like if I'm doing Cats, the musical, all those guys. Now, I promise you, like, not that many people will know about those characters versus like Hamilton and Burr. Like the entire like nation knows about those two. So there's a weight and like a responsibility that comes to like showing up and knowing what they've been through versus like a character that's made up. That's kind of like choices that you get to like make up and choices that like you get to like I don't know, get to play with. But these guys, you have to be so like close to the paper because people are going to come up and expect, to see Hamilton, like textbook Hamilton. Um, Now for this show, it's very interesting though because like obviously Hamilton never rapped. Like there was no like hip hop music back then. So it's really cool to like play with. Yes, I am Hamilton and like I mean there's a lot of like research that was done to like, make this role by Lin-Manuel Miranda. But to add like a hip hop like rap sense to it, that's like me sticking true to the history of like hip hop and rap and R&B. So I have to do research on that as well too, because it's not just like people who have like great knowledge of like our nation's history, but like on the history of hip hop as well too. So I got to stay true to those people as well too. So it's a lot. It comes with like a big burden.
Thank you. I want to ask both of you, both Brian and Hosea, what what would you say are the lessons of Hamilton that audiences today should take away from the show?
Hosea.
Okay. um, there's two really big ones. The first one is mostly staying true to your beliefs. I think playing both Hamilton and Burr, you can see that for me. Um, because with both of them, as you follow their journey, um, they never really change like at all, like from beginning to end. Like every other character has like an arc, um, and just like this massive journey that they go through. But like with Hamilton and Burr, it's pretty much like this. Um, and I think it shows people um, just how much like you can accomplish if you stay true to the path that you've set along for yourself. With Hamilton, I mean, he does not stop creating and he does not stop writing and he does not stop chasing what he wants up until the very end of the show. Like in his final soliloquy, when Burr shoots him, he's still like rambling about like his future and like things that like he could have done in his past, and he's still like trying to like make something and like defy all expectations. And Burr is still like on this narrow path, and so true to himself. And I think the best depiction of that moral and that belief of staying true to yourself is best shown in the song Wait For It, where Burr says, I'm the one thing in life I can't control. I'm inimitable. I'm an original. Um, that speaks to me, not only just like as an actor, but like as a person. Whereas like I am like the only and the best version of myself, and I have to I have to be willing to put that version out there into the world and like make sure that that everybody sees this original new being. You know what I'm saying? And like I feel like I feel like it's the best moral to like get from the show. Like there's a lot of messages going out throughout the show, but like to follow those two and follow how they stayed true to themselves throughout the very end is like the best thing anybody can take from it.
Brian, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, Alexander Hamilton was an immigrant. He was the only founding father that was an immigrant. And his story, and particularly the way it's being told through uh, this musical, Hamilton, is the story of America. And it's the story of the promise of America. And, keep in mind, Lynn Miranda was vacationing in Mexico, and he brought the biography of Alexander Hamilton with him, written by Ron Chernow. And he said he was reading the book on the beach, and he saw hip hop lyrics emanating from the pages of the book. And he tells the story of Alexander Hamilton and Aaron Burr in that time in our country through the use of the musical genre rap, which is rapid, but it's very dense. And Ron Chernow, it was an 800-page book. He said that Lynn Miranda could say in a 7-minute rap what Ron Chernow took 100 pages to write. And I think that, if you keep in mind, the whole, the Hamilton cast, both the original and the touring, is mostly Black and brown people. And when they sing Alexander Hamilton, it's not ironic, it's not snarky. It's with a great level of enthusiasm and recognizing that even though we don't have a just society, we still hold that deeply, the aspiration for that. And that's why I say that, the story of Hamilton that's being played out on the stage at Shays tonight and all of next week, it is America then being told by America now. And the underlying powerful force there is the promise of this country that we're always in a process of trying to improve, trying to enfranchise more people with the rights that were supposed to be God-given to all of us. So I think that's the beautiful story of Hamilton is about, the guy that wrote it and that originally starred in it. He was Latino, and he grew up in New York, and his parents took him to a first show, uh, Runaways, that was written by somebody from Buffalo, Liz Swados.
Mm-hmm.
And his father took him to that show because she was a Hispanic. They would characterize them as Puerto Rican. And she was this, celebrated playwright. And he wanted to show his son, Lynn Miranda, that anything was possible in the theater for a kid like him. So it's all about challenging the limits of possibility for me.
And just to follow up, Brian, do you have a favorite moment in the show? And I want to hear about that from Hosea too.
I don't yet, but I'm going to see it tonight. So you
Yeah.
can tomorrow.
You don't have it memorized yet? Come on.
I don't, but I meet people all the time. I was with a group at the football game on Sunday, and the mom came up and she said, "My daughter has memorized Hamilton." I mean, that's 3 hours. That's not easy. I mean, Hosea is obviously disciplined in terms of his thinking, his retention of information. But I'll let you know tomorrow. But I'm told it's a great, great show.
Yes. I'll be on tonight. I'll
Great.
be well. I've been kind of bouncing around. Last week, well, I guess 2 days ago, I was George Washington. Today, I'll be Thomas Jefferson. Uh, I know it.
Wow.
Thomas Jefferson, it's like a dual role. So like I play Marquis de Lafayette in Act One, and
Oh.
in Act Two, I'll play Thomas Jefferson. Um, so to switch from like the French accent to like an American accent is so fun.
Hosea, is there anybody you're not understudying in the show? Come on. That's
Um,
crazy. Maybe
yeah,
Angelica Schuyler, but I mean,
right.
that's crazy.
Well, we put that in for like the next month. Sorry.
Good
But
suggestion.
my favorite moment, I mean, as George Washington, he has this huge song in Act
Hmm.
called "One Last Time," and
Hmm.
it's just a scene. But it starts off with a scene between him and Hamilton, and he brings the news that he's going to resign from office, and him and Hamilton kind of connect. Hamilton's kind of like combating it, and you know trying to keep him to stay, but Washington secures him and he secures the nation, and the scene ends with just everybody around me as I kind of tell them all the news, and I get to end off with this huge, I think it honestly is the hugest number in the show, and it's not just like a message to like my castmates, but I get to like actually speak to the audience as well, and it's just it's my favorite song to sing. um and it's honestly like the most beautiful like moment I've ever had in theater.
Wow. Look forward
Love
to it.
it.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Love it.
And can I build on the questions you've been asking here, perhaps?
Absolutely.
Thank you. This really lifelong learning is the mission of this program and connected with the library. And so I hang around with people that are local historians, and they lament at the decline of history teaching, things of that sort. And then along comes Hamilton, and you think, wow, what intergenerational lifelong learning experience you've created through entertainment. And I say the whole entourage. So I'm wondering, as you go city to city, you spend a week, a few days, maybe a couple of weeks, like here in Buffalo. Uh, is there an educational outreach component that tries to uh, build so that my guess is this will not become unpopular uh, for many, many years? This will keep returning to cities where a Shays Performing Arts Center becomes the hub of learning about an important moment in American history, literally its founding thought process, put to song, put to rap. How do we build on that? How do you folks see yourself entertaining? Yes, but educating and creating this unique lifelong learning experience. And then I'll ask Brian, how does the Shays Performing Arts Center see itself maybe in that role, maybe with other programs as well, but certainly with Hamilton? Go ahead, Hosea.
Yeah, I mean, I think the touring companies in New York, specific the company in New York has done like a great job of like not only just like getting people to come out and see the show, but they send cast members and they send people within the company to like so many schools. I mean, I think I'm supposed to be going to a school in Philadelphia, and just like us being there, and us like telling this story through like our like lens as well too it's been bringing a lot of like younger people to our audiences, and like the numbers have not dropped at all. Like I just keep seeing younger and younger people. I was here actually last no not even last week, I was here in March with Girl from the North Country here at Buffalo. So like I'm not used to seeing like a younger audience, but ever since I've done Hamilton, I just keep seeing, I mean, the ages go down, and it's such a beautiful thing to see. Like I don't know, just young people coming to see theater, because you really don't see that much unless like you're doing Hamilton. So um, the fact that like we're going to so many schools and talking with them and having Q&As similar to this has been like yeah, are like our main like format of like trying to get, I don't know, the community more involved with Hamilton.
Good. Brian, your
Yeah, Dennis.
thoughts?
Yeah, at Shays, we have a arts education engagement program, which is the largest of its kind in all of Western New York. Last year, we had 6,838 kids participate from
Wow.
high school to middle school. And the amazing thing is, these kids walk in the first day of some of our, acting camps, and they're very, they're looking at their cell phone. They're very detached. They're very reticent. And part of the program is to put them on stage, to teach them how to carry themselves, to learn articulation, to learn diction. And after like a 2 week period, these kids are transformed,
Hmm.
not temporarily, but forever, and they begin to develop a self-confidence. They're part of a community of actors. They're part of a community of actors and audience. And that's the magic of theater. And when you look at all of our, deaths of despair, depression rates among young people today, self-harm, you know, kids aren't being taught the values that they need, the skills that they need to make them creative thinkers in school. They're learning it through the theater. And you don't necessarily have to be an active actor, but really a participant in seeing and understanding and learning and expanding your capacity for all of those things that make us good citizens. That's why we study the humanities. We are our own deepest mystery. And the more that we can interact, the more that we can understand and listen to each other, the better it is. Social media is all about judgment. It's not about empathy. It's not about understanding. And we need more theater. And as Hosea had said, introducing people at younger ages to theater. And you find that can be transformative, not only in one person's life, but in a neighborhood, in a society. And I think that is, the great power of theater. The Hamilton Company is participating in Western New York in get out the vote efforts, in raising voter awareness. Again, not in a partisan way, but theater is about exemplary citizenship. And that's what they're encouraging people to do. Whoever you vote for, just vote and exercise your right as a citizen of this good country.
Thank you. Thank you. We got a point where we've got to wrap up. Brian, I don't get this opportunity often, so I'm going to say this. We've known each other for several years, and you've been on the program. We had a sustainability program in 2021, and you were part of that. But it always struck me, uh, so I might as well say it to your face. You had focus as a congressman. Your success to me was that you focused on the waterfront, and that focus. There's problems in the world to address, but boy, you kept your eye on the prize, and we, the community, are all beneficiaries of that focus. So my hat's off to you, Brian. Thank you for.
Thank you, Dennis. You're very kind. You're very kind. Thank you.
Well, it's certainly every time I drive by, which I just did coming back from the Bills game on Sunday, and you see that sun setting and the people all enjoying it. A little less now that the boats are out of the water, but still very active. I do think of that great effort that helped turn around our attitude towards ourselves, which is the first step towards turning around the whole community.
Well, I
And
used to say, Dennis, I'll just do this briefly, but I said that again, as a student of government, as much as I was a practitioner, I didn't go to Washington to change the world. I went to change my community, and that's why the House of Representatives was created. Uh, because of the influence of James Madison, another founding father. And I think that what happens often in Washington, people move away from their communities, they get immersed in that culture there, and that's not reality. I used to come home every week because it was an urgent reminder as to why I was sent there in the first place. So that you recognize that, I'm grateful for, but that was the intention. That was the plan all along. But thank you very much for your kind and generous words.
Well, you're quite welcome. And thank you both for joining us today. Great program. Again, this will be archived on the library's YouTube channel. Simple way is just go to YouTube and put in Imagine Buffalo, and you'll get it, as well as going on the library website to find more information. So we hope you'll join us next week. Thank you for doing so today, but next week, the 29th, on Zoom, we'll welcome J.D. Hartman. It's the fifth Tuesday of the month. Some months have that. And we always talk about the art of investing. And J.D. gave a presentation at Chautauqua this last summer. I had asked him to do so, and it was called The Art of Investing in Your Values. And that's what he'll be talking about. So join us. Let's see how that works. It's good for institutions to know how to invest in their values as well as individuals. So I'm Dennis Galucki. Have a good day and be well.
Good luck tonight, Hosea.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well done, guys.
Thanks.